Hi, my name is Frank and welcome to my shop. In this video, I will correct a mistake I made in the previous video. I will connect everything on the main board, assemble the side panels of version V2, show you guys the beautiful design I made to have a side panel USB connection without any additional screws, present the menu system and my customizations, demonstrate the noise level with the TMC 2100 stepper drivers, show you an example print. Oh, and I also have added a modification for V1 of the Mini. I do not have a V1, but I took advice from some of you. If you try it and something doesn't fit, please contact me and I will correct it. Let's begin! Okay, last time I made an error calculating the V reference values, and what happened is that the Mini is not overheating, but the motors are pretty warm to the touch, and the top motor for the extruder also, so the X and extruder motors are pretty warm. So what I did is I checked on the original board, removing the heatsink on the original drivers, and I took a look at the drivers. They were HR4988 chips, which I found a schematics example on the web, and using this part of the schematic, I was able to find R2 and R3 on the original board. Here is a view of what I found, the values that I needed to calculate the V reference. And this is my calculations. If we go in depth, first I had to take note of all of the resistors and the VDD voltage. And then using this calculation, I was able to get the V reference for every axis. And you see I also measured what was on the chip when it was powered up, so it's matching up pretty close. Then again, from the specs, I have to calculate the I maximum amperage for every axis, and we have all of the current values that we need to calculate the same V reference for the TMC 2100. First, we need to translate the max values to RMS values because the specs sheet for the TMC 2100 are in RMS. Next, we take the formula from the specs of the TMC 2100 and apply the IRMS values to get the V reference. And this formula is from the large TMC 2100 drivers that I bought. If you buy other brands, maybe this formula will change, so you have to look at the specs of the brand you buy. And now the new values are applied. X equals 0.488, Y and Z equals 0.547 volts, so we adjust those to those values, and the extruder is at 0.576 volts. I then made another test. Everything is not too warm to the touch, and we get a value of 34 degrees instead of about 54, and the top is at 30 instead of about 40. So that's good. Now for the assembling or connecting everything on the board, make sure not to twist those connectors when you tighten the screws. You have to get them pretty tight because there is a lot of juice going through those cables. So if you don't screw them enough, it's gonna eat up and probably burn the connector. So make sure that you have a good solid connection and make sure to hold the connector before tightening up the screws. And then I show you where all of the connectors go. Main power and bed power, the hot hand heater. I use the case fan on E1 and the hot hand fan on the fan connector. The X motor, Y motor, and Z motor go on top, and the extruder on E0. Then we go to the end stops. So the X end stop, Y end stop, and the Z end stop. Those two cables are reversed, but it doesn't matter for the switches. Then the hot end thermistor, bed thermistor, and the MKS touchscreen. On this picture you see all of the connectors at once. Next thing to do is to remove the side panels. So I first remove the cables for the bed, because I have the modification for the bed so that the cables do not cut. I use this little grommet. Actually it came from the bed itself. When I removed the cable, it was there, and I moved the cable up there to have it on the side. So I am reusing the grommet on the side panel as I did with the metal one, but this one is for this modification. We put back the cables, then reconnect the cables, the bed heater and the thermistor, connect the touch screen to the main board, and you see the little Wi-Fi module that I'm gonna use later. I am using a small USB extension with a 90 degrees up connection to the board, and I made a small box that goes around that cable. It fits really nice. You have to use the same connectors. The Amazon links will be in the description. And that shroud goes over the cable, and there is a little stopper so that it doesn't move when you insert the cable. So you just put it over the cable and push it down. Make sure it's flush to the side panel all the way down. And when you use the USB cable, it's not gonna move on you. So I really like this design because it doesn't need any more screws. Now for the V1 version, I made some modification. I've added a left side panel so that you have an air intake. I've printed those panels on the Mini, that's why they are sliding on one another, because the bed of the Mini is too small, so you print it in two parts, but it fits really nice. Then insert the grommet again on that side panel, and we are going to use a small fan, 40 by 10 millimeter fan, using 4 16 millimeter M3 screws and nuts so that it is fixed to the side panel like that. So as you see, the air will intake from the left side, go through the TMC drivers and out the other way. So in that way it's gonna be cooled. And same thing with this side panel, it has the same connection. Now I've made some modification to the mainboard support so that it can fit both versions of the board. Now for the menu system. I really like this menu system. Like in this menu you can increase the temperature of the extruder or the bed. Turn off the heater. Same thing for the bed. You have many menus like the homing. You can home everything, turn off the motors, or home X and Y easily. It's really nice. It responds really well. Then in the more section, I have added custom button like preheat the hot end for PLA, bed, do a hot end auto PID, which takes a couple of minutes. Same thing with the bed. After that you can save the settings if you did those two PID. The first time you install the Marlin, you can do the factory preset from the Marlin and then save it again. When you do the PID, the PID calibration, you have to wait until the loop is done, so until the heater goes down again before saving the values. Here you can see that the bed is actually moving up a bit because I've touched the preheat. Now let's go back and print something. Let's say a Benchy. I have one on the SD card that is on the left of the screen. And you see here that the bed is heating up. It's pretty fast. And there is an optional menu when you're printing. You can change the filament, change the fan speed or the speed that is printing. Let's wait for the bed and the hot end to heat. It overshoots a little bit, but you could tune it with the PID manually. I'm fine with that. And it stays really flat after that. Now you see it printing. And let's hear the noise or the lack of noise of those motors. So quiet and smooth. You see here my Octoprint, and you see that the temperature stays really flat. Actually, the hot end goes up about 0.2 degrees up and down, so that is really precise. And that's the test print. Woo! Spin. Let's see it closely. The finish is really nice on the side. The top too. Those holes are rounded. The arches are pretty nice. The underside is correct. There was a little bit of filament that went away, but that's okay. The back is a little messy, but I'm gonna remedy this in a future video. All in all, it's a really nice print. I'm really proud of the results.
So that's it. What is next for this little printer? I think I will do a TMC2130 installation, removing the end stop switches of the X and Y axis and using the switchless mode of the TMC2130 in Marlin. I will explain how to install my menu system and upgrade the LCD touchscreen, try to use the Wi-Fi module of the MKS touchscreen. I also am planning to make a new hot end shroud, adding a small turbine for the part cooler like on the CR10. Much fun to come. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you liked this video. Also push the little bell to be notified as soon as I publish a new video. Be safe, have fun printing, and see you in my next video. Ciao, bye! I do not have a V1, but I took. But I took. On recommence de bout de là. Quoi? Let's begin!